Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you. This is a beautiful day. I am Portia Wheatley. I am the founder and the president of a nonprofit organization acknowledged as Trophy of Life Incorporated. And we're so glad to have you here today with us on Project 365, where we will be bringing you hope, encouragement, and inspiration for 365 days of the year. Woo! Look, it's already day 37, and we're going, woo, but God's got it. God's got it. So we show up and he shows out. All right. Let's welcome our co-host on today.
Hello, everyone. I'm Takira Swan. I'm so happy to be here.
And we will welcome our guest momentarily. I tell you what, let me remind you of this. Being confident of this one thing, that he that hath begun a good work in you, boyfriend's going to perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. That's a promise. He said he would do it, and he's going to do it. I tell you, he's good for his word. Take it to the bank. He's good on his word. One of the things we want you to do before we release the floor to our guest, we would love if you would, maybe after this segment, go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel. We want to take hope, encouragement, and inspiration to the whole world. I don't know how far we'll get, but as far as God takes us, that's where we're going to go. And we're on our way, well on our way to doing that. And we bless God for the same. We really bless God. Takira, would you take the opportunity to introduce our guests?
All right. Well, we have Miss Riquelle here. And Miss Riquelle, well, you don't have to call her Miss Riquelle. I'm just saying that. She's coming to us to share some words of encouragement on her experience. And she has a wonderful organization and group that she has. Would you mind introducing that to us, Miss Riquelle?
Yes. First off, I would like to say thank you all for having me and reaching out to me, asking me to be a part of this moment. I'm so beyond grateful to be able to share with you all. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And yes, I have my own organization. On February 3rd, it was my 1 year anniversary. It's called Dreams of Salvation. And I pretty much am trying to bridge the gap between the church and the world. You know, there's a disconnect there. In a lot of ways. And I feel like the millennials, we sometimes feel like we're overlooked and we're not really thought of how we feel or our emotions. We're very emotional, if you want to be technical. So I just wanted to create a space where people can be their authentic self. We can grow and learn together and share the gospel so that we can win souls. That's our job, really.
Well, that sounds amazing. And tell me, how do you go about doing that with your group?
So I was having a Monday morning prayer call every morning at 7 a.m. I literally, child, every
That's
Monday,
early.
7 a.m. But you know what's crazy? I started working in November at another. I got a job at another place in November, and I had to report to work at 6:45. So I was like, I was going crazy with the 7, getting up early enough at 6 to do this 7 o'clock prayer call. But now, Lord, you're telling me to get up earlier. All right, great. But that's one thing that I was doing, and it was very successful. I have so many testimonies from that. I have done prayer nights where I hosted with other groups and organization, and we had Zoom calls, and we were able to share, pour, pray, talk, and communicate with other Christ-like believers, which was really beautiful. I also did my own mentor program with young ladies from the ages of 8 to 16, and that was, oh my gosh, that was my favorite. Those little girls, they are fun. They are really fun. And then I also go around and I have been invited to preach the gospel at different churches and different things like that. And currently I'm in ministerial training. So that's pretty much how Dreams of Salvation has been taken off, really.
Well, that's awesome. Okay, so one thing you talked about was getting up early and praying. And I know that with your organization, you are a leader in prayer. And we had a whole segment on praying a couple days ago. What can you do? What would you like to say to encourage the younger generations, our generation, Generation Z, even the Alpha generation? They're so small, about praying. Because I know you said getting up early in the morning and praying, girl. Because that's the key. That's the key right there.
Listen,
But
it's discipline.
Yeah, what can you say to encourage the younger generation about prayer?
Well, one thing that I would really suggest to the young generation when it comes to praying is setting your intentions. Why are you doing this? Are you doing it out of formality? Like, is it something that you're doing because you know you're supposed to do it? Or is it something that you're doing because you want to really build that relationship? When you think about your friendships with your cousins, brothers, siblings, whatever, mother, father, you have to talk to them. You have to communicate with them. You have to literally build some kind of relationship and some trust factor where you can be able to give them something and they in return give you something. But you can't literally sit there and expect God to give you stuff when you're in time of need. You got to be able to talk and communicate with God all the time. You have to build that relationship, because if you're sitting here pulling on him and expecting him to be a genie in a bottle and expect him to give you whatever you're in need of or whatever is necessary at that moment, then you're never going to have a successful life, because he's not even going to know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, the relationship that you want to build with anybody, you have to put that same work in when it comes to Christ. And that comes with praying, sitting and dwelling in his presence, communing with him, giving him everything that he so desires and that you desire for somebody to give back to you.
That is a wonderful, wonderful explanation and way to put that. And I hope it's encouraging all those who are of the younger generation and the older generation as well.
Yes.
Because, you know, everyone needs a little help every now and then. So also with your organization, Dreams of Salvation, a couple of questions. One, how can someone get involved with your organization?
Oh, honestly, it's easy as sending me a text, or you can send me a text. You can call me, you can DM me, Facebook message me, anything like that, and let me know where you see yourself and what you want to contribute to Dreams of Salvation, and we can collab and do different things when it comes to that. I always say that we are family. I tell you, you my cousin. Listen, at the end of the day, you're my cousin, and sometimes you don't see your cousin all the time, and you don't talk to them all the time, but your love for them never changes. So I always want to build that family vibe, that freedom. I want the Dreams of Salvation space to be a place of freedom, of healing, restoration, and authentic beauty. Like it's no longer the time for us to continue to mask our emotions and feelings. So wherever you are in your walk with Christ, or however you feel when it comes to your relationship with Christ, and you feel that Dreams of Salvation is a place where you can benefit from, by all means, just reach out.
And I know you do cater to all ages, but is there a specific age group that your organization caters to, or that you would like to cater to?
So as of right now, I don't have an age bracket of whom I'm catering to, because it doesn't matter how old you are. You can be 100 years old and be a fool sometimes. It really doesn't matter. Everybody is growing. Everybody is trying to progress. Everybody is trying to learn. And every day is a day to evolve and become a better version of yourself. So right now, I don't have any age bracket. I'm not going to put limits on age-wise, because it just doesn't make sense. However, I do want to target the women. Women are very, very close and dear to my heart, because I want to empower them to understand that you are enough. You are amazing. You are God's creation. You are everything that God says and nothing that the enemy tries to tell you. You're no longer going to allow the enemy to sit and play in your mind. You're no longer going to allow your mind to be a playground. So I want to just help them, because I feel like in a lot of times, us women, we play as superhero and we're everything for everybody, but we're not enough for ourselves. So I needed to set a place where I can encourage women and speak to them, speak over their life, and just to give them the confidence that they are in need of, that I once needed at one point in life.
I think that's amazing. And I think, well, one, I definitely admire your courage to take on having your own organization, number one, and two, especially with women, you know, I am a woman, so I'm a little bit biased, but we do take on the struggles of the world, and we have a lot of weight on our shoulders, and sometimes we don't have an outlet to reach out to one, take care of ourselves and have self-care, and just to commune with others that are like ourselves, and then also a place where we can grow in the Lord, and have a safe place where we can be. So I really do appreciate you and your organization. Ms. Portia, do you have any questions for Ms. Riquelle here?
I do. I have, I think, two, maybe three. Riquelle, what are some of the struggles that you've had to experience to get to where you are now? I know you have not been all of that. So I think if you could share some either hope, encouragement, in addition to what you've already shared, but let them know some struggles that you've gone through, and you didn't have to stay there. You made it through.
Yes. I have plenty, honestly. And that's one thing about Dreams of Salvation. And if you will follow me on Instagram at Dreams of Salvation, you will see I am very transparent. I feel that transparency is what delivers. Transparency is what heals. Transparency is what set people free. Some struggles that I did not have the confidence that I needed. I did not think, I heard God good. I heard him good, that this is something that you should be doing, but I just did not have the confidence because I didn't believe in myself. I didn't think that I had what it took to speak to people. I used to beat myself up, saying that I don't know how to talk. I stutter on my words at times. I make up words at times. And I was just like,
I understand what you're saying.
Yes, literally. It's so many words that I can make up, and all my friends, they'll sit and laugh at me and be like, Kel, that's not a word. I'm like, listen, you know what I meant. But in a lot of ways, I let the enemy lies keep me bound. I was allowing him to silence me for so long. He was smothering me. And I'm like, if God told me something already, if he's already given me dominion over a situation, and he's already made the path for me, and he knew what I was supposed to do in my mother's womb, why am I allowing the enemy, who was powerless, to have so much control over me? And I was like, okay, all right, Riquelle, you understand this, you know this. So let's work on you first. Let's peel back some layers in you. Why do you have these insecurities? Why do you feel this way that you feel? And all of that. And I was like, okay, now that I understand this, now that I know this, let me move, let me execute how God needs me to move and execute, because I'm not going to fumble the ball. If God gave me the promise, if he put this in my belly, it's gonna come to pass. I'm gonna birth this thing. No longer am I going to have miscarriages in Christ. So I was sitting there and I wrestled with not feeling worthy, not feeling enough. I went through a phase where I didn't think I was beautiful, so I didn't want to be seen. I just was very hopeless. I felt forgotten in a lot of ways. I was hurt. I was angry. I was bitter. But then as I continued to surrender what God was telling and speaking over my life, and what I was reading in my word, and as it started to come to life, I allowed me to surrender to the idea that God has something better in store than what I'm sitting here. His ways is better than my ways. His thoughts towards me is better than my thoughts towards me. So I was like, just do you, boo.
Just do you, boo. Now, just a word to our audience that Saturdays are set aside for the younger generation, or the title more so is the voice of the next generation. So,
wow, that's crazy.
So we just want to hear, some of the young people of what's on their mind, their thoughts, the way they think. One of the questions as well to you is, speaking of the older generation. Now, I know we cannot toss the older generation away. The other day, we had one of our mothers, Mother Barnes, 88 years old. Sister Girlfriend did a spectacular job in sharing about Black history as well as today's times.
Mm-hmm.
But as pros, what do you glean from the older generation, whether it's church, your community, or your family, that you would like to take on into this generation, as well as what are some of the things you wish they would not do?
Wow, that's a packed question. Um, so what I would want to take away from them is their faithfulness when it comes to fellowshipping with one another, with talking to each other and building up the church body, taking reverencing how to function in the church, how to be the church outside of the building, and all of that stuff. That is something that I definitely would want to take on the characteristics from them. One thing that I do not feel that I would want to take on with them, I feel in a lot of ways that they can be very condemning and judgmental, and it turns us away from wanting to know because you're so fixated on what we're doing wrong that you're not understanding what we're trying to do right, and understanding this new relationship, and I also believe in the 7 dispensations of Christ, that law, freedom, all grace and kingdom, all of those different dispensations, that we have free will, and that we have not allowed ourselves to understand that in their season, in their time that they were going through different things and trials and tribulations, that it was just that trials and tribulations, and they had to come on over on the other side of the mountain. Whereas though now where we are as the younger generation, we're more so focused on a relationship with Christ, understanding his heart, his posture, for the posture that he has towards us and how he thinks towards us. And a lot of times I don't think that there's a disconnect between the both, because they still like, oh, fear the Lord and be scared. And we're like, God doesn't want us to be scared of him. He wants us to reverence him. And it's just like we're clashing, because it's like both of our points are coming from a great place, but there's a disconnect because we don't humble ourselves enough to understand how to coexist with one another.
Gotcha.
So that's pretty much like my bridge that I'm trying to put together.
That's good. That's really good. And if our older generation or baby boomers on up, just hear the younger people, hear them out. Hear them
Yes.
out. Like you said, don't necessarily judge them for all the wrong that they do, because when we go to the mirror, there's a lot of wrong that's there in the mirror, looking back at ourselves. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Takira?
And can I say something with that? So I definitely agree with what you said. And one thing that I truly believe with our generation, the millennial generation, is that I feel that we should, or we are supposed to be, that bridge between the different generations, between the older generation, our generation, and the younger ones coming up. And
I agree.
I do agree with you with the whole the older generation being slightly judgmental at times and not as open-minded. But I feel that if they could just most of the times when you have situations like this, it's because of miscommunication and because of preconceived notions. So let's say, like, for example, the alpha generation, that's like my niece's generation. She's only 7. So I'm like, man, those kids are crazy already. Like, woo. But I really think they are. It's like sometimes I'm like, I feel like I'm getting old because I do not understand, some of the things they like or do. But we can't have that type of mindset, because when we're open-minded, we can see that we are just alike. All the generations are just the same. We're going through the exact same things that they have gone through. It may look a little different, but the base is all the same. Troubles that we're going through in society or internally, they all stem from the same place. They all stem from the same root. And it's our job to have them to try to help them open up their mind for both sides and see that, you know what, we are just alike. And if you would be transparent and not be ashamed of what you've been through in the past, because try to realize now that it's okay to show your scars and your flaws, because we need that, because we can't heal unless you show us, hey, you know what, girl, I've been through this. Let me tell you, back in 19 such and such, I had the same thing happen to me, and it's the same thing happening to you. And with the younger generations, we automatically, 1, feel 10 times better, but 2, we're automatically like propelled towards healing, because we're like, oh, well, we're not alone, because all the younger
Yep.
generations, you feel alone, you feel by yourself. And when you realize, you know what, we're really not alone. And my grandma, great grandma, my mom, dad, aunts, uncles, they've all been through this, and we can help each other, then that's when we can grow together. So we just have to open our minds, seriously, just open our minds, get rid of those preconceived notions,
Right.
and work together and realize, you know what, you have a lot that you can offer me, and I have a lot that I can offer you. So
Yes,
agree.
can't we
all
just
work
all
together.
get along?
Yes,
All get
let's just all work
along.
together.
Literally, that's all we need.
Mm.
And I think even to piggyback on what you were saying in regards to the older generation and us and everybody being the same and all of those different things, a lot of stuff that carries on from the older generation onto the new one, and then the middle one, the next one, and the next one after that, all of those different things. And it comes from unhealed wounds.
Yeah.
So we get these open wounds and scars that we tried to keep hidden from the next people to see, but they didn't realize that we needed to see that so that we don't feel that we're by ourselves. Now we're sitting here wrestling within our minds like, nobody understands what I'm going through. Nobody can relate to this. And I got to keep this to myself because it's so embarrassing. And I don't want nobody to sit here and put their mouth on me because I'm so embarrassed of what I have. So then we pour it on to the next one of, oh my goodness, they don't understand. They don't get it, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So and
Yeah.
it's a never-ending cycle of the same things over and over again that could have just stopped if we would be open and transparent. So that's why
Yeah.
That transparency is gold. It really
Yes.
is. I mean, and then if we were transparent, there's a lot that we can break in generational curses. We can break that if we just communicate, let them know, been there, done that, and this is the way, I handled it. You may not handle it the same way, but at least tell them that you've been through that experience, and it will stop a whole lot of ditches that they may fall into.
Yep.
Yeah. And that younger generation coming up, they're just so bold naturally. They'll just ask you, like, listen, did this happen to you? Because if it
You're
didn't,
right.
then you're not the person I need to talk to. Let me go find
Yes.
someone else.
Yes.
So I'm so serious. Even my niece, like if she had like a little bully, she said, Aunt Kara, have you ever had a bully before? And I was like, well, yeah, this is what happened, and this is how I felt about it. And then she's like, oh, okay, well, you're fine, and I can do it too. And she was encouraged even through that. But that younger generation, when they have some serious things, because this world is just getting meaner and meaner, and it's getting worse and worse, and they're just going to ask you straight up, like, listen, this is what I'm going through. Have you ever been through it? And if not, do you know someone that's been through it? Because I need help. So yeah.
Wow, this has really been good. This has really been good. Thank you, Riquelle, for sharing.
Of course.
I so appreciate it. And your message, of course, like everyone else's message, will go around the world. And I declare and decree that, because it's already started, and we're grateful to God that He's used us to do that.
Thank you
Well,
so much.
Takira, can you roll us on out?
All right. Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Please go to our YouTube channel and like, subscribe, hit that notification button. We are giving you 365 days of hope, encouragement, and inspiration. So if you hit that bell, that notification button there, it will let you know when we post a new video. Let's expound our audience. Let's reach out worldwide, and it starts locally. It starts with our community. It starts with you, and we cannot do this without your help. So if you could just tune in tomorrow, we have something good for you. Thank you, Ms. Riquelle, for coming, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful weekend.
Have a good one. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.